The Portia polar bear story is a story about a young cub in the vast expanses of the Arctic who has a wonderful, nurturing mother who becomes a little bit worried about something that her friend told her. Her friend planted this seed that she was not perfect in some way. And the mother keeps assuring her that she's fine, but Portia just becomes focused on her imperfection. She still is able to go about her normal little polar bear ways, but that's a little seed of worry in the background. And in the end, it's an adage or analogy to what people are. We worry about things that actually end up being of inconsequential measure. I've retired from the school system in the last 5 years, but for 32 years I worked for the school system here in Cherokee County, Georgia. I love teaching, but it's a very, it takes a lot of energy, and I could tell that doing other parts of education were nice after a while because the energy level that's required is amazing. So when I started with the Portia polar bear book, I didn't take those images. I was lucky enough to be able to use Dan Cox's images, and he gave me free rein to go into his files and decide which images could tell the story that I had in mind. You're producing a children's book. A child does not necessarily want to see every tree in the forest. They want to see the animal, and they want to see the snow crusted on their little paws, and they want to see the actual up-close image. This picture was interesting too. When I saw this mother licking the cub, I thought, I'm going to start the book by cropping this part out and the tongue out and just have this up-close picture and say, hello, my name is Portia. And then you turn the page and you back away from the picture, and this is my mom. Selected down to 135 images that I printed, and from those images I used the most important ones that furthered the story. This was an interesting part of doing the book. When I was coming back to write the text, I noticed that if you use too many words, it detracts from the picture. And all of my books I want to be photo driven. I want the storyline to be driven by the photography. I liked the pictures that had the animals looking away from the camera so that it seemed like their thoughts were on something else besides the photographer taking them. And I had to choose pictures that had just one cub. I chose this picture for the book actually because it made a beautiful background for some text at the end of the book. Just love that picture. It's a typical picture that I cropped down to indicate the important parts of the picture, important to me anyway. And then this is what the image actually looked like in the book. And you can really see the detail, and there's nothing superfluous in there. It still places them in that environment, but you see the mother's attention to Portia, and you'll see that the text was just minimal. Another thing I was really wanting to do is not only have pictures up close of the animals, I also wanted to show the expanse of their home. And so when I was beginning the story, I had this picture to go by. Children love opposites, and so you want to make your texts have opposites in them. So this was a good example. My home was beautiful with long days in the summer and long nights in the winter. And they seemed to really like that. Another technique I used was where you have to turn the page to complete a thought. So this is a good example of that. This page says, I learned to slide on my back and my stomach. And children will just stare at this picture for a long time because they wish they could be doing that too. And in this image you can actually see a little snow on his eye and nose. When we get through, I have a little present for each of you too. So I appreciate you coming today. I know all of you know what this is. polar bear. But do you know what this is? You can just call out.
Fox. Fox.
It is a fox, and it's an Arctic fox. Very good. Do you know what this is?
Seal.
Yes, it's a seal. And this particular kind is called a bearded seal. And this one's a hard one. It's a bird.
Snowbird.
It's a ptarmigan. And a ptarmigan, the name ptarmigan actually starts with a P, so that's a tricky one. And do you know what that is?
A mouse.
It's like a mouse.
It's a squirrel. I don't know. Porcupine.
It looks, I think he's wet, so that makes him look spiky, but he's a small rodent, and he's called a lemming. And this one,
Rabbit. Arctic hare.
yes, an Arctic hare. Arctic hare. And all of these are characters in the book today, so when you see the pictures, you'll say, oh, I've seen that before. So I wanted to tell you that before we got started. I'm hoping this book can sort of lead to discussions for parents or for teachers to show that really you're fine the way you are. If you could just see that and try to work on your inner self, not just how you look on the outside.